Irving Berlin was an American composer and lyricist, widely considered one of the greatest songwriters in American history. His music forms a great part of the Great American Songbook. Born in Imperial Russia, Berlin arrived in the United States at the age of 5. He published his first song, Marie from sunny Italy, in 1907, receiving 33 cents for the publishing rights, and had his first major international hit, Alexander's Ragtime Band, in 1911. He also was an owner of the Music Box Theatre on Broadway. Alexander's Ragtime Band sparked an international dance craze in places as far away as Berlin's native Russia, which also flung itself into the ragtime beat with an abandon bordering on mania. Over the years he was known for writing music and lyrics in the American vernacular, uncomplicated, simple and direct, with his stated aim being to reach the heart of the average American, whom he saw as the real soul of the country. Quote, "In doing so," said Walter Cronkite at Berlin's 100th birthday tribute, "he helped write the story of this country, capturing the best of who we are and the dreams that shape our lives." He wrote hundreds of songs, many becoming major hits, which made him a legend before he turned 30. During his 60-year career, he wrote an estimated 1,500 songs, including the scores for 19 Broadway shows and 18 Hollywood films, with his songs nominated 8 times for Academy Awards. Many songs became popular themes and anthems, including Easter Parade, White Christmas, Happy Holiday, This Is the Army, Mr. Jones, and There's No Business Like Show Business. His Broadway musical and 1942 film, This Is the Army, with Ronald Reagan, had Kate Smith singing Berlin's God Bless America, which was first performed in 1938. Celine Dion recorded it as a tribute, making it No. 1 on the charts after the September 11th attacks in 2001. And in 2015, pianist and composer Hershey Felder began touring nationwide as a one-man show, portraying Berlin and performing his songs. Berlin's songs have reached the top of the charts 25 times and have been extensively re-recorded by numerous singers including Eddie Fisher, Al Jolson, Fred Astaire, Ethel Merman, Louis Armstrong, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Deanna Martin, Ethel Waters, Judy Garland, Barbra Streisand, Linda Ronstadt, Rosemary Clooney, Cher, Diana Ross, Bing Crosby, Rita Hayworth, Frankie Lane, Johnny Ray, Billy Eckstine, Sarah Vaughan, Nat King Cole, Billie Holiday, Doris Day, Jerry Garcia, Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan and Ella Fitzgerald. Composer Douglas Moore sets Berlin apart from all other contemporary songwriters, and includes him instead with Stephen Foster, Walt Whitman, and Carl Sandburg as a great American minstrel, someone who has caught and immortalized in his songs what we say, what we think about, and what we believe. Composer George Gershwin called him the greatest songwriter that has ever lived, and composer Jerome Kern concluded that Irving Berlin has no place in American music. He is American music. Quote. Early life. Russian immigrant. Life in Russia. Berlin was born on May 11, 1888, in Tyumen, Russian Empire. He was one of 8 children of Moses and Lena Lipkin-Baylor. His father, a cantor in a synagogue, uprooted the family to America, as did many other Jewish families in the late 19th century. In 1893 they settled in New York City. As of the 1900 census, the name Baylor had changed to Berlin. According to his biographer, Lawrence Bergreen, as an adult, Berlin admitted to no memories of his first 5 years in Russia except for one. He was lying on a blanket by the side of a road, watching his house burn to the ground. By daylight the house was in ashes. As an adult, Berlin said he was unaware of being raised in abject poverty since knew no other life. Tsar Alexander III of Russia and then Tsar Nicholas II, his son, had revived with utmost brutality the anti-Jewish pogroms, which created the spontaneous mass exodus to America. The pogroms were to continue until 1906, with thousands of other Jewish families also needing to escape, including those of George and Ira Gershwin, Al Jolson, Sophie Tucker, L. Wolfe Gilbert, Jack Yellen, Louis B. Mayer, and the Warner Brothers. When they reached Ellis Island, Israel was put in a pen with his brother and 5 sisters until immigration officials declared them fit to be allowed into the city. Settling in New York City, his Yiddish-speaking family eventually settled on Cherry Street, a windowless cold-water basement flat in the theater district of the Lower East Side. His father, unable to find comparable work as a cantor in New York, took a job at a kosher meat market and gave Hebrew lessons on the side to support his family. He died a few years later when Irving was 13 years old. Now, with only a few years of schooling, 8-year-old Irving found it necessary to take to the streets to help support his family. He became a newspaper boy, hawking the evening journal. On his first day of the job, according to Berlin's biographer and friend, Alexander Wolcott, he stopped to look at a ship departing for China and became so entranced that he didn't see a swinging crane, which knocked him into the river. When he was fished out after going down for the 3rd time, he was still holding in his clenched fist the 5 pennies he earned that day. His mother took a job as a midwife, and 3 of his sisters worked wrapping cigars, common for immigrant girls. His older brother worked in a sweatshop assembling shirts. Each evening, when the family came home from their day's work, Green writes, they would deposit the coins they had earned the day into Lena's outspread apron. Music historian Philip Furier writes that when 8-year-old Woolsey quit school to sell newspapers in the Bowery, he was exposed to the music and sounds coming from saloons and restaurants that lined the crowded streets. Young Berlin sang some of the songs he heard while selling papers, and people would toss him some coins. He confessed to his mother one evening that his newest ambition in life was to become a singing waiter in a saloon. However, before Berlin was 14, his meager income was still adding less than his sisters to the family's budget, which made him feel worthless. He then decided to leave home and join the city's ragged army of other young immigrants. He lived in the Bowery, taking up residence in one of the lodging houses that sheltered the thousands of other homeless boys in the Lower East Side. The Green describes them as being uncharitable living quarters, Dickensian in the meanness, filth, and insensitivity to ordinary human beings. Early jobs with few survival skills and little education, he realized that formal employment was out of the question. His only ability was acquired from his father's vocation as a singer, and he joined with a few other youngsters who went to saloons on the Bowery and sang to customers. Itinerant young singers like them were common on the Lower East Side. Berlin would sing a few of the popular ballads he heard on the street, hoping people would pitch him a few pennies. For these seamy surroundings he became streetwise, with a real and lasting education. Music was his only source of income, and he picked up the language and culture of the ghetto lifestyle. Berlin learned what kind of songs appealed to audiences, writes Green. Well-known tunes expressing simple sentiments were the most reliable. Quote, he soon began plugging songs at Tony Pastor's Music Hall in Union Square, and in 1906, when he was 18, got a job as a singing waiter at the Pelham Cafe in Chinatown. Besides serving drinks, he sang made-up blue parodies of hit songs to the delight of customers. Biographer Charles Ham writes that in Berlin's free time after hours, he taught himself to play the piano. Never having lessons, after the bar closed for the night, young Berlin would sit at a piano in the back and begin improvising tunes. His first attempt at actual songwriting was Marie from sunny Italy, written in collaboration with the Pelham's resident pianist, Mike Nicholson. A spelling error on the sheet music to the published song included the spelling of his name as I. Berlin. He sold the rights to this, his first song, for 37 cents. Berlin continued writing and playing music at Pelham Cafe and developing an early style. He liked the words to the songs, but sometimes the rhythms were kind of boggy, and he might change them. One night he delivered some hits composed by his friend, George M. Gohan, another kid who was getting known on Broadway with his own songs. When Berlin ended with Gohan's Yankee Doodle Boy, notes Whitcomb, everybody in the joint applauded the feisty little fellow. Some tarts said they felt proud to be American. A couple of thugs, who specialized in chewing off ears and breaking legs, gave Izzy the nod. And Connors, the saloon's Irish owner, said, "You know what you are, me boy. You're the Yiddish Yankee Doodle." Single quote. Nobel Prize-winning author Rudyard Kipling, living up the coast during that period, said he was shocked and intrigued by the screeching squalor he found in the dirty gray tenement canyons of Immigrant, New York. Quote, he described it as worse than the slums of Bombay, but was nonetheless impressed and moved by the Jews, says Whitcomb, noting how the songs by the Little Immigrant Boys saluted the Stars and Stripes. Kipling wrote, "For these immigrant Jews are a race that survives and thrives against all odds and flags." Recognition as songwriter. Max Winslow, a staff member at music publisher Harry Von Til's Company, noticed Berlin singing on many occasions and became so taken with his talent that he tried to get him a job with his firm. Von Til's said that Max claimed to have discovered a great kid, and raved about him so much that Von Til's hired Berlin. Later, in 1908, when he was 20, Berlin took a new job at a saloon in the Union Square neighborhood. There, he was able to collaborate with other young songwriters, such as Edgar Leslie, Ted Snyder, Al Piantardozzi, and George A. Whiting. In 1909, the year of the premiere of Israel Zangwill's The Melting Pot, he got another big break as a staff lyricist with the Ted Snyder Company.